Cool. So my name's Pat, and I am the chief architect of a project called Kolektivo. I'm also the co-founder of a Web3 venture studio here in Berlin called Curve Labs, and Kolektivo is my primary project that I am working on presently. So there's a problem in the world, and that problem is that many countries in the world have a limited sort of monetary sovereignty. So they're not able to increase their money supply because they have a fixed peg to another country, another currency, typically the US dollar. This causes these places to be cash poor. They are not able to reach their optimum economic efficiency simply because there's not enough money in circulation. There's not enough liquidity in existence. We see this as a major problem. We see this lack of financial tooling, governance tooling, being a critical issue. And, we did a study on this, and we found that there are some solutions that already exist, namely that of community currencies. Community currencies are these parallel currencies that exist in addition to the state currency. There's somewhere around 4,000 that exist today. One of my favorites is Sardex in Sardinia. I had the opportunity to meet the founder a few years ago. It is a very large sort of private or alter economy that exists in parallel with the state economy and helps fix these gaps in cash issuance. So we prescribe a solution with Kolektivo, and the solution that we prescribe is a toolkit for folks to launch their own local economies with community currency. And then the solution we prescribe, it goes one step further. We say, listen, if we are going to address this problem of cash shortage, we need to take kind of a deeper look at the monetary structures, the institutions of capitalism more generally, and what caused these problems to happen in the first place. And one of the major causes in our research we discovered is that folks do not accurately value and maintain the wealth of their natural capital in many of these jurisdictions. So what we are trying to do, or what we're doing, is building a flexible Web3 framework that lets communities create their local economies and also create what we call green collaterals, basically tokenizing these natural assets to back these local economies that issue a community currency. This framework has a number of modules, a number of technologies. Many of them are Web3, Web2 tech used when and where appropriate. Of those 7 modules, 3 of them are live as of October 24th, following a 12-month sprint. That includes this reserve mechanism that functions very, very similarly to a Temple DAO instance, if you are familiar with this project. The community currency is live, and then the Kolektivo wallet is live. So what we went ahead and built is a wallet optimized for local community commerce and community currency usage. This is the Kolektivo wallet. The 4 modules on the right, we expect to launch most of them by Q2 of 2023. That includes this badges mechanism. This is somewhat of a governance control surface that allows you to assign functional permissions within the system, making it so that, for instance, you could have an economic manager responsible for issuing monetary policy rather than sort of decentralizing or using some sort of vote process to make these types of decisions. Then we have a grants interface. This is a pretty standard Web2 interface where folks apply for grants. We have what's called the impact map. This is a feature I'll be talking about today. We created a token standard called the Geo NFT, which allows us to bring real-world assets on chain. We found many of the token standards or many of the parties that are working this direction in the real-world asset market to be deficient. So we had to create our own standard for these purposes and our own map for these purposes. And then a parametric insurance module, which I won't get into really because of its how technically complex it is. Our MVP launch was extremely fun. Like I said, it happened October 24th. We launched on the island of Curacao. The island nation of Curacao is recently independent as of 2010. This is where most of our economic experimentation will initially occur, although we do plan to expand to other jurisdictions over the course of 2023. Here you can see the founder of Cello paying with a community currency that we created, the Kolektivo Guilder. He is purchasing a smoothie with this community currency. So you can immediately understand the utility of these currencies because they are used to purchase the exact same things that you purchase every day. Diving into the geo-NFT, our hope for this token standard is really that it creates and helps facilitate the birth of a new asset class, this class of natural assets that I mentioned before. Essentially, we take a territory, we tokenize it, we bring topological or geographic data of that territory on chain. This makes things much, much easier for doing geographic queries and for doing geographic calculations. We then use this geo-NFT, we point to a data store associated with it. This data store aggregates ecological data produced for that territory. And that ecological data is ultimately how this token is monetized. I realize I just hit 6 minutes, but I am going to go a few minutes over. Our first 3 types of geo-NFTs that we'll be working on in 2023 and launching in 2023 include a number of agroforests that we control on the island of Curacao, coral reefs that we partnered with organizations that are regenerating the coral reefs in Curacao, and then mangroves. Mangroves are, I believe, the #1 way to sequester carbon, or one of the top methods for sequestering carbon as a nature-based solution. And we are working to develop the geo-NFT methodology there. Next year, this is where the global expansion happens. Our key KPIs, what we aim to achieve is, first, we want 25,000 monthly active users in the Kolektivo wallets in any of the jurisdictions that we launch, or pardon me, in all jurisdictions simultaneously. So if we're in 5 different jurisdictions, maybe we have 5,000 monthly active users in each. We want to launch at least 2 million worth of community currency. And we aim to have 3 different types of asset methodologies operational for these geo-NFTs. And I mentioned the agroforestry, reef, and mangrove methodologies. Those would be the 3 that we target, but we're also open to experimentation and working with partners that have pre-existing land and/or aquatic environments that we can tokenize and begin collecting data for.